Hello and welcome to this short video on trustee training. Today we're going to look at the role of a trustee, what is a trustee, and some do's and don'ts. It's not meant to be a comprehensive training video, but at the end of the video there will be further links should you wish to have a deeper look. So I'm often asked, who is a trustee? The trustees of our churches are those people that are elected to the committee. Trustees have overall control of the charity. They're responsible for making sure that the charity does what it is set up to do. They lead the charity, they lead the church. A trustee makes decisions that will impact on the members of the church, the congregation, the local community, and society as a whole. Trustees will use their skills, they'll use their experience to support their church, helping the church to achieve its aims, and you may also pick up new skills as you're developing your role as a trustee. So what are the aims of an SNU church? The objectives of the church are to advance the religion of spiritualism and the religious philosophy of spiritualism according to the 7 principles of SNU spiritualism. If you have a quick look in our rules for churches at schedules 1 and 2, it sets out the 7 principles, an explanation of each of them, and what activities can and can't be done in our churches. There are various criteria to be eligible to be a trustee. So in our case, you must be at least 18 years old to be a member of your church and therefore qualify as a trustee. You must be obviously appointed following our AGM procedure, our nomination procedures, and our qualification procedures, which can all be found in our rule books. You must not act as a trustee if you are disqualified via the Charity Commission or any other commission. The reasons for disqualification are also shown in our rule book as well. If you are bankrupt or in an insolvency agreement or individual voluntary agreement, this would also prohibit you from becoming a trustee. Likewise, if you have any unspent convictions or certain offences, including dishonesty or deception, or if you are on the sex offenders register, that would also prohibit you from becoming a trustee of one of our churches. There are 6 main duties of a trustee. Ensure your charity is carrying out its purpose for the public benefit. You and your co-trustees, your other committee members, must make sure that the charity is carrying out the purpose for which it's set up and no other purpose. This means that you should ensure you understand what the purpose of the charity is, the purpose of your church is, and this is set out obviously in our rule book and our governing documents. You plan what your charity will do and what you want to achieve. To be able to explain how all of the charity's activities are intended to further or support its purpose, understand how the charity benefits the public by carrying out its purpose, and obviously spending charity funds on the wrong purpose is a very serious matter. In some cases, trustees may have to reimburse the charity personally. The second main duty of a trustee: comply with your charity's governing document and the law. So you and all your other fellow committee members or co-trustees need to make sure the charity complies with its governing document. In our case, this is the rules for churches and also any bylaws that are printed and available on the SNU website. Comply with the charity law and other laws that apply to your charity. You should take reasonable steps to find out about legal requirements, for example by reading relevant guidance or taking appropriate advice when you need to. Registered charities must keep their details on the charity register up to date and ensure they send the right financial and other information to the Commission in their annual return or their annual update. You must always act within the best interests of your charity. This means you do what you and your co-trustees and no one else decide will best enable the charity to carry out its purpose. With your co-trustees, you make balanced and adequately informed decisions, thinking about the long term as well as the short term. Avoid putting yourself in a position where your duty to your charity conflicts with your personal interests or loyalty to any other person or body. Do not receive any benefit from the charity unless it's properly authorised and is clearly in the charity's interests. This includes anyone who is financially connected to you, such as a partner, dependent, child, or business partner. One of the other duties of being a trustee is to manage your charity's resources responsibly. You must act responsibly and honestly. This is sometimes called the duty of prudence. Prudence is about exercising sound judgment. So you and your fellow committee members must make sure that the charity's assets are only used to support the charity's purposes. Not to take inappropriate risks with the charity's assets or reputation. Never overcommit the charity. Take special care when investing or borrowing, and comply with any restrictions on spending funds. You and your fellow committee members should put appropriate procedures and safeguards in place and take reasonable steps to ensure that these are followed. Otherwise, you risk making the charity vulnerable to fraud or theft or other kinds of abuse and being in breach of your duty. However, many of this is laid out in our church rulebook under duties and responsibilities of committee members. As someone who is responsible for governing your charity, you must act with reasonable care and skill. You must use reasonable care and skill, making use of your skills and your experience and taking advice that is appropriate where necessary. Should give enough time, thought and energy to your role, for example by preparing for, attending and actively participating in all committee meetings. Ensure your charity is accountable. You and your trustees must comply with the statutory accounting and reporting requirements. You must also be able to demonstrate your charity is compliant with the law, well run and effective. Ensure appropriate accountability to members if your charity is a membership separate from the trustees. Ensure your accountability with the charity, particularly where you delegate responsibility for particular tasks or decisions to staff or volunteers. In our case, we're accountable to our members of our churches. We set out what we're doing, we set out how we're complying, we set out our plans and we set out our financial agreements and our financial arrangements in our annual general meetings. As a trustee of your church or your charity, you are going to be making decisions. Our churches, trustees make decisions about your church and you work together as a team. Decisions don't need to be unanimous as long as a majority of the trustees agree. Such decisions are usually made during your church committee meetings. When you and your fellow committee members make decisions about your church, you must act within your powers, act in good faith, and only in the interests of your charity or church. Make sure you are sufficiently informed and take advice when you need to. Take into account all relevant factors and ignore those things that aren't relevant to the decision that you are making. Deal with any conflicts of interests or loyalty. Make decisions that are within the range of decisions that is a reasonable trustee should make in the circumstances that you have. You should record how you made your decision, i.e. it should be recorded in the minutes, just in case it needs to be reviewed or explained in the future. A good trustee should enjoy being on the committee. You should enjoy your work. You should recognise the importance of your role. You should be proud to be a spiritualist. You should plan for the future of your church. You should encourage membership in the church, as this will provide the next generation of committee members, the next generation of the congregation, and ensure that your church's future is secure. So I hope that you've managed to take something from this brief training video on the role of a trustee. For more information, please use the details that are on the bottom of the screen now, or if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me on the details provided.